and welcome to another MTD podcast. It's Friday, it's 6 o'clock, and this is when this podcast is released every week on the road with MTDCNC, where I'm generally joined by guests, as I am today, and we talk about everything we've been up to in the last couple of weeks. This is the first week back, actually, of this show. I've been away on holiday for 2 weeks, and I'm pleased to actually be doing this on site today at Hella. Here in Redditch, and we're going to talk a lot about this facility and the machines, because I'm with not only Karl from MTDCNC. Hi, Karl. I'm also with David Evans from Hella here in the UK, a man I think that's been working for the company for about 34 years. Would that be right?
Absolutely, 34 years, bang on the money.
Do they get quicker every year? Do the years go faster?
They certainly do.
Yeah. Now, I've just come back from holiday. As I said, this is the first on the road for a couple of weeks. I've just come back from Portugal. And we just mentioned before this, you've been there, David, haven't you?
I have been there, yes. I've been to Albufeira, beautiful part of the world.
Absolutely. Do you play golf?
Very badly, yes.
Yeah. Did you play golf while you were there?
I didn't actually, no. That was before I took up golf.
They've got some fantastic courses over there. But one of the things you mentioned as well, and I've got to say, have you ever been there, Karl?
Mate of mine, retired fireman, bought a place out there on a golf course. I don't particularly play golf, but I caddied, and we had a good week there.
Yeah, isn't golf the same as ice hockey though? Isn't it? It's a stick, isn't it?
It's easier. Golf, you stood still. You're not on skates. You're supposed to keep your eye on the ball, which you can't do with an ice hockey puck. I found hitting the ball a lot easier than hitting an ice hockey puck, for sure.
Really? Yeah. Oh wow. But the fish that you can get over there as well, it's just unbelievable, mouth-watering, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You go and select your own.
Gorgeous.
We were talking about the wines that you can have as well, the white wine, and how easy it is to just devour a whole bottle when you're in the company of these fish. And the red snapper was one of our favourites while we were over there. Anyway, it's digressing a little bit, but no, it's good to be back. And up and coming in today's show, we're going to be talking about several things, including Hella here in the UK. We're going to be talking about where we've been, or where the guys have been in the last couple of weeks, which includes visits to Citizen, visits to Rydell, an engineering company, MJ Allen. We've had Gom in the studio doing technical corners. We've also been at an Aston Martin refurbishing company called Acuri Bertelli with Haas. We've been at Quick Grind, Renovo, loads of places we've been. But before we get onto some of those, David, walking around here today, one of the very few manufacturers of machine tools here in the country, aren't you? Tell us about where we're sitting, how big it is, and what happens here in Redditch.
So we're sitting in Redditch itself. We're sitting in Moons Moat. We are in a factory that is about 16,000 square feet in size. It's divided up into 4 bays, and we are sat in one of the bays where we have a flow line system assembling state-of-the-art 4 and 5 axis CNC machining centres.
So how many machines would go through here, let's say in a year, and what markets are you servicing geographically? Are you distributing these around the world?
Yes, we are distributing them around the world. The machine volume itself, we're looking at around about 200 and 220 per year, but we are now focusing our attention on getting that increased to an output of around 300 machines per year. Okay. And they go all over the world, as we say.
So what's the reason for the increase in demand then? What have you done here to attract more customers? What's good about the machines?
So we produce 4 and 5 axis machines, as I said before. Our 5 axis machine is a relatively new product. We're aiming it very hard at the aerospace industry, mould and die industries, and we believe that we can penetrate more market sales with that new product. It's a 5 axis machine. You're getting it pretty much for the price of a 4 axis machine, and it is a Hella machine that we're talking about, and the name Hella is synonymous with quality.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes, and I mean, you'll have experience of this as well, Karl. In the marketplace, often perceived as a machine really for the automotive sector, wasn't it? But I mean, it's very different nowadays. You hear and see of these machines going into, general engineering, aerospace, as you said, and across the board.
Absolutely, full-on production machine perceived, and actually from a marketing perspective, deemed expensive, which is proven not to be the case. Very affordable, but certainly quality, build quality, performance, production, all those words spring to my mind.
And look at this one behind. This is why we wanted to position ourselves here, because we've got a machine behind us, David. What stage of the build is this, and what is it?
Okay, so this is one of our 5-axis machines. This is an HF 5500. You can see it's 5-axis. It's at station 2 completion, awaiting station 3. So the next thing that would happen to this machine is the main guarding would be fitted, which would cover up almost everything that you can see. So this is a bit of a, dare I say it, this is a bit of a close-off view of a Heller HF, which a lot of people wouldn't get to see.
But how good is this for you, being here as a manufacturer in the UK, bringing customers here to see this? Because, I mean, a lot of the time that I see this, and it's been some time because we do a lot of overseas travel, which we haven't been able to do for the last 18 months, and travel the factories around Europe and beyond. It almost feels like I'm back in Europe because I'm seeing this here, when it actually is here in the UK, isn't it? And people must love to come and see their machine going through the build.
It never ceases to amaze me, Paul, how many people don't realise that Heller have a facility like this in the UK, in the Midlands, in Redditch. This is where we build the volume of our 4 and 5-axis machines of this size for the whole world market, more or less.
Yeah, it's good. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more detail about the model shortly, but before we do that, I'm just going to touch on a couple of things that we have been up to, and you'll be able to see on the MTDCNC channel in the coming days and weeks. Whilst I've been away, I know that Colin has been previewing the Citizen Open House, which is happening on the 12th to the 14th of October at their Solutions Centre in Bushey. I know one of the big focuses there is the 5-year anniversary of LFV. One of the statements that I like that came out of some of the work that they've been doing is helping keep those doors shut. That must be something that you would want as well, isn't it? I mean, often we hear loads of slogans, but that's quite a good one. You want to keep that door shut, don't you? Because when that door's shut, that spindle's going.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. All the doors need to be shut. The machine needs to be moving around as fast as it can, producing components for customers. Definitely.
Yeah. And that's happening at as I say, in Bushey, the Citizen Open House, and you'll be able to see videos and previews to that in the coming days. Also, what was quite interesting is Mark was actually filming this week at Pneumatic in Chard. I'm really looking forward to seeing this, because this is a company that has been producing cleaning products and machines for over 50 years. They're well known for manufacturing the Henry vacuum cleaner for over 40 years. How many Henry machines or Henry Hoovers do you think they manufacture over? Oh, wow, this is incredible. Okay, how many Henry Hoovers do you think they manufacture in a week?
Worldwide?
Yeah.
320,000.
What do you think? It's got a 3 in it. You're not far off.
3 million Hoovers.
Yeah.
A week?
No, well, it's actually 30,000. So you were
okay. 90%.
You were a bit over the top, but that's still a hell of a lot of Hoovers. But I suppose
when you look at a hell of a lot of dust to be sucked up, isn't it?
Yeah. When you look at I suppose the amount of need for it, then you can understand the numbers. They were actually there, or Mark was there, looking at Hexagon's production software that they've been using, CAD/CAM on there, to help maintain their presses for plastic moulds to keep the production line flowing. So if you want to see a Henry Hoover or a Henry vacuum being made, that will be a video to watch. I also know that Colin this week has been at MJ Allen. These will be good videos. Always great to see the guys down at MJ Allen machining and castings. They have just recently invested in a Makino A100, huge machine with a footprint of 10 metres by 5 metres for their on-site foundry. It's a 30-tonne machine that actually moves at 50 metres a minute with 0.4 G acceleration. Now, if you've ever... I don't know, have you heard of MJ Allen?
Good customer of Heller, MJ Allen.
Oh, great, okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What machines have you got down there?
We don't have some of our current range, but we've got some of our previous range, some of our MCH machines and MCP machines, and we've also produced quite a lot of fixtures for MJ Allen. In fact, I think we produced one very recently for MJ Allen, as in a couple of months ago.
I was going to say, I would have thought that your machines would have been perfectly suited to what they do as well.
Yeah.
Looking at some of the sizes of the castings, I mean, they've got their own foundry down there as well, haven't they?
I believe so, yeah. I've not visited the place myself.
Real tremendous place. So there'll be some good videos coming out of there as well. Now, let's talk about a little bit about your machines then, Dave. Let's talk about the HF in a little bit more detail. This is a 5-axis machine that was introduced not so long ago. What, 2-3 years ago? Or would it be
a little bit more than that. It's about 4 years ago now.
Okay, now this was taking you into this 5-axis market where we've been talking today about how you're beginning to get presence in general engineering because they're very affordable. But not only very affordable, they've got that heritage and that hallmark of being quality and reliable machines, haven't they? How much of a good step was it? And tell us a little bit about the model.
Okay, so it's not actually the first 5-axis machine Heller has produced. We produced another model previous to this, something called the F series, where the 5th axis was in the spindle head as opposed to in the workpiece. Having done quite a bit of analysis, the conclusion was that the best performing 5-axis machines these days are when you actually have the workpiece moving. So if you can see on the machine behind us, that's actually what we've got now. From a reliability point of view, there's an awful lot of development that has taken place to make the machines as reliable as possible. We also have a lot of commonality in component parts between our 4-axis and 5-axis machines. So in doing that, some of the cost can be taken out, where you've got the same type of ball screws, the same type of slideway rails and carriages and those kind of things. And from a cost perspective, as I said before, we've really honed in on trying to produce an affordable Heller 5-axis machine for almost the price of a 4-axis machine.
And are you having success with it? I know I said you are, and I mean we like to promote. Yeah,
we cannot build enough at the moment. If you wanted to place an order for one of these machines today, you would be very lucky if you could get it delivered to you the end of February, early March next year.
Wow, okay, that's good. That just shows the demand for it. I'll pick you up on one of your points. You talk about moving the part rather than moving the head then. So what's the reason that you've gone down this road in believing that that's the better mechanical method for 5-axis?
I have to say I'm not an expert in 5-axis machining, and I'm sure there'll be people out there who want to correct me, but I understand that it's more reliable and you are able to physically machine heavier parts if your 5th axis is in the workpiece. And the design of our 5th axis, our AB axis as we call it, you can take the weight of a normal fixture that you would put in a Heller 4-axis machine on the 5-axis.
And you have to look at this here. I came round earlier with Sati to look at the machine in detail.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to be able to get some shots in this too. But I do like looking at a machine, and he said to me that on the HF, because you've got the 5-axis, you've actually got 3 linear rails with 2 carriages on each, and as opposed to 2 linear rails on the H series. And then when you see that here, you understand why.
There's a reason for that, Paul. When we built our first HF machines, the 3rd rail actually carries a support bearing for the AB axis itself, for the table itself, and we offered that as an option. What we found out very quickly was that if you don't have that support, then it really restricts the amount of weight that you can put on the table, which of course then restricts the amount of weight of machining components that you can produce. And there are a number of 5-axis machine tool manufacturers in the world, some who have a similar concept to this, but they don't have and they don't offer that support bearing which guarantees the accuracy and enables you to take the weight of the part and the fixture.
Okay, now coming up, we are going to talk to David about the testing processes that happen on the machine, and we've seen today a test cut being done and what they can achieve in tolerances and the metrology side. Before we do that, Karl, we're going to be talking today about the magazine as well that's coming out. The MTD magazine is about to hit desks shortly. We mentioned about the automotive here at Heller, and we know they do a lot more than that. But that's the theme, isn't it, for those that are listening or watching? They're waiting eagerly to get the September issue out. What's it about? What's in it? Tell us.
As you say, the automotive theme throughout in this September issue. Literally went to the printers Wednesday afternoon, so not yet printed, but soon be on desks. Fantastic issue, easy for me to say, very proud of another strong issue, but 100 pages. We've brought machining to the front of this one, So really gone to town on machining, machine tools. That's our technology focus. And yeah, we've got that automotive theme throughout.
Plenty of links through to stories that we've created while we're out and about as well.
The beauty of this paper product, you know, and I won't get on my soapbox, but in comparison, we push the boundaries on readership. That dovetailing of the printed product, using the QR code, taking the reader to the relevant MTD video, I mean, it's unique. It's unique in its own right. And then we take the magazine itself in its entirety and share that with the MTD massive digital audience. And then lo and behold, listen to it as well. All these unique benefits with a printed product. But yeah, it's...
and there's a bit of a feature about emo as well, isn't there? Because that's just around the corner. I'm going to talk about some events coming up.
Yeah, for sure. So machining to the front, cutting tools, measurement. Yes, we're previewing emo for sure. Got some real good stories in this one. Reese in particular, our editor, a good sort of Q&A with David Waghorn down at Herco, and then Reese actually let loose on a machine. He's let loose on the BX60i.
Yeah.
And to show the
toolmaker's machine, that one in a mold die. Yeah.
To show the machining centre, to show the ease of programming using the I'm reading this now.
You've thrown
the
me
Win
on
Max.
it. Win Max.
Win
the
Max
Max
CNC.
5.
Yeah.
Max 5, yeah.
And he does it. He's let loose on it, and he
Can you do it in Welsh? Do you look at the magazine, David, or do you listen to it? What's your preferred?
I prefer to read it.
Do you?
All the journals I get, I prefer to read.
And genuinely, do you still read journal? And what's your mix
I
of
do.
digital to magazines?
More magazines. I guess I'm kind of a bit of the old school. At the age of 57, it's not that I'm averse to digital technology. On the contrary, we have a lot of digital technology in our machines that we produce today. But I just like to pick something up and read it, and put it down and pick it up and read it.
It's good to be able to do both, isn't it?
It is absolutely.
I think,
yes.
I'm of a younger generation to you two. I like to think.
just about.
And I do still read magazines, but at the same time, I do like to listen while I'm either running or walking to podcasts like this as well. So
and it's a mixed audience. I mean, you know, as Dave's alluding to, there's some of us that still like to read. The beauty of that is that, you know, you've kicked back, you've come away from the screen, you're not particularly searching, but quite often in a proper technical production engineer magazine that's relevant to the job and industry that you're in, there's often stuff in there that you didn't know you needed to know. God, I didn't know you cut it that way. I didn't know you could use it that way. I didn't know you could measure it that way. And that's the difference to some degree. You're not searching, you're kicking back, you're just reading at your leisure, and you would hope, certainly with our magazine, there's something in there that you didn't know you needed to know.
Yeah, well, there is a lot of different editorials and stories in there, definitely well worth a read. Another interesting thing that you'll see on MTD coming soon is from Gio. He's done some technical corners with GOM. One of them is about virtual clamping. Now I'm going to ask you in a minute, David, about the inspection process and the testing process and some of the measurement things that you have on the machines here. But this virtual clamping from GOM, I'm looking forward to seeing the technical corner. But basically, it's like the best to describe it is I've actually written it down here. You have like a sheet metal pressing, let's say like a car door, and you want to what you would have previously done is you've had to put lots of clamps around it before you could go around and measure it. And when you do that, you're obviously affecting the profiles, the structure of the part, which means you might get readings that are obviously inaccurate and incorrect. Yep. This now is like a table with almost like these little robotic arms with sort of cushions on the top, and you just lay the part on top of it, and then the communication between these robotic arms and the scanner means that it's in a free state and it's measured, and it gives you the absolute perfect result to what you'd expect from a metrology perspective. But what's also good about that, it's not only the free state, it's the fact you haven't got to sit there and clamp this thing. You know, every time you bring one in to inspect it, you've got to stick it down, you've got to clamp it, get it in position. So the speed is an advantage there as well. So some good technical corners to come out you'll be able to see on that and other products from GOM. There's also the Atos scan box, which is almost like a 5-axis machine where you inspect parts by loading them from like a Euroa system into the machine, take them out so you can leave it running. We talk about unmanned running on your machines, but there's unmanned running inspection as well now, where you could go home overnight, put parts in your row system, and you come in the morning and you know whether they're scrap or not, which you obviously hope they're not, the latter. When it comes to the inspection of your machines before they go out from here then, David, we've seen today a test cut happening. We've been in the inspection room. What can customers expect to see certification-wise from what they buy?
Okay, so every machine that we build, we adjust the geometrical accuracy to within our given tolerances. Everything we do is protocoled, so the person that does that geometrical alignment work has to sign to say that the machine is within the tolerance it is. We then have a separate inspection team of guys who come and do their checks on the machine to ensure that the geometry is within the tolerances that it should be. And we also utilize technology like we do a process on our 5-axis machines called AutoCal. What that does is it's a probe that is fitted into the spindle of the machine that is probing a point on a pallet in all sorts of different orientations and positions, checking the accuracy and the repeatability of the machine. In addition to that, we calibrate the repeatability of all the axes with a laser. So at any given point in time, you can walk into this factory and see some basic assembly work being done, but you can also see some very, very accurate, state-of-the-art electronic measuring equipment being used to ensure the accuracy of the product.
As good as any in the world, do you think?
Absolutely as good as any in the world. I don't believe you will find a machine tool manufacturer that produces machines any more accurate than Heller do. If we talk about jig boring machines, that's a slightly different kettle of fish. That's a slightly different level of accuracy. But a lot of the machines that we produce we're talking about accuracy to within 5 microns of repeatability. We also have temperature compensation systems that can be built into the machines for people who are producing very, very accurate components, which maintain the temperature of the working area, cool the coolant to maintain the temperature of that. So yeah, the accuracy of the machines are amongst the best in the world, in my opinion.
That's really good to hear, and it's good to see that, isn't it, when you walk around here, Karl, seeing the machines going through. In fact, talking to some of your engineers that have equally been, not quite as long as you, 34 years, but I think Sati had been here 25.
Sati has just celebrated 25 years.
I saw that watch. Was that the watch on his wrist?
No, we didn't give him a watch. We gave him something else that he was very pleased with. I personally gave him a very nice bottle of whiskey, which I don't do for everybody, but Sati is a very, very valued employee, and his level of knowledge is second to none here. He's the guy that can resolve the problems that other people can't.
Okay, now, but when I come back to you, Dave, shortly, before I just go through some of the other things we've done this week, I'm going to talk to you about the differences some that people are talking about these days about replacing verticals maybe with horizontal machines. We'll come on to that very shortly. Before I do, I just need to cover off the week in review on MTDCNC. If you've been onto the MTDCNC website or you're planning to go on over the weekend, the top 5 videos that have featured this week. At number 5 is a video that's recorded, as you would expect, thousands of views from Colchester Machine Tools on their VMCs, their vertical machining centres, which they now supply at ProDrive. At number 4, a video that Geo produced on a Shibora Chu 200 machine from Leader CNC at A&M Hydraulics. When we talk about heavy engineering, this is certainly a video to watch. AM Hydraulics do a lot of huge manufacturing within the automotive and mould and die industry, and that machine is performing in action. I think it's like a magnetic part that's on the table it's doing. Number 3 is a journey from Haas at Superstar Components, where we've spoke with James Leet about the various machines they've bought and the journey that the company has been through. Number 2 is an interesting video from Joe about ZCCT cutting tools. Have just signed an agreement with Renovo Solutions. If you want to know where you get your ZCCT cutting tools remanufactured, then that's a video to watch. And at number 1, you talk about Dave Waghorn, Karl. I did a video, I don't know whether you saw it. I went to the south coast to look at to Pico. Do you know who Pico are?
No, I'm afraid I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So Pico make model railways.
Okay.
They make all of these. They make all the the trains, the tracks. It's a bit like the
sort of modern day Hornby. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
That's one of their competitors or main competitors.
Yeah.
They are shipping and selling tens of thousands of these tracks and trains around the world. They purchased a Roders high-speed machining centre from Herco. Now, this machine is about tight tolerance machining, high-speed machining, surface finishes, and they're machining all the mould tools to press the parts. And then you're thinking to yourself, why on earth do you need a tight tolerance mould tool when you're just making a bit of a track for a model railway? It seems crazy, doesn't it? But they do it because it's they really like to promote the fact that their product is as good as anybody's. Incredible to hear from the guys there at Pico about the Roders machine and how reliable, fast, and what a great surface finish it produces. David, this week we're going out to plenty of engineering companies where we're going to be talking about sliding head technology, 5-axis machines, which we've mentioned here as well before, and also talking to companies that use vertical machining centres. And one of the things we talk about a lot, and I'd be interested to get your opinion on it, is whether a horizontal machining centre can do the same as several VMCs, and if so, why, and what considerations do you have to take into account when doing that. So you're a horizontal machine manufacturer. Can they do that, David? Is there an argument to say that it doesn't just have to be long runs?
Definitely there is. The horizontal machining centre for us is the answer. You can take a standard horizontal machining centre, you can add to it a pallet storage system on the front, you can add to it an additional tool magazine, you can add to it a full flexible manufacturing system, so you could have 3 or 4 of these machines all in a line linked up to an FMS system, and you could have 50-60 different types of fixtures with hundreds and hundreds of different types and material types of components in. Get all the tools loaded up, and at the end of your shift, if it's a late shift in the day, just press the start button, go away, and you come back in the following morning and everything's all done, everything's all machined.
But how do you have to be exceptionally clever to make these things work properly, or is all that hard work taken out of the process by the technology that you're supplying?
No, it's because the technology is so advanced and the controls have been made so user friendly nowadays. It's fairly straightforward stuff. Okay, you can't be somebody that's just walked in off the street and given the responsibility to operate a machine like this. But everything is so much more user-friendly these days. The controls that we've got have amazing HMI systems that makes it so easy to understand. You just program the machine and go.
You must think though, Karl, when I look at this unmanned running, people talk about it and we always go on about it, but I think to try and put myself in the place of an engineer, what would I be worried about? Well, I'd be worried about coming in the morning to parts made incorrectly.
Okay.
What's my solution to that? How do you get rid of that out of my head?
So the part is only ever going to be as good as the person that's written the program. So we'll make the assumption that the program is already written correctly. What you need from your machine tool is systems like emergency strategy systems that we have built into our machines, which guarantee that if a tool breaks, partly through the machining process, that first of all that broken tool will be detected by our tool fracture sensing system, and that the component that has been machined will be identified as a potential scrap component because maybe half the drill is still stuck inside it, and the emergency strategy will then take those fixtures and take those tools out of the system. Now if you've then got a larger manufacturing FMS, for example, automatically the pallet is changed out of the machine, the next pallet goes into the machine, that pallet's stored over in the system, identified as one with a problem, and on the machine will run. With regard to your tooling, if you've got something called sister tooling strategy, if you've broken a drill or a cutter, and so long as the operator has loaded a replacement into the system using the sister tooling strategy, then that tool will be defined as broken, and the next tool will automatically take over. So these things are put into place to guarantee that the machine will continue to run. And so long as you've got a reliable product, we believe we've got a reliable product, then yes, there's no reason why the operator can't come in the following morning and find all of his parts and machine correctly.
So we don't have to worry.
No worry.
You don't
No
have to
worries.
Lights
Go
out.
and play golf.
Lights out. What did they say about you employ one man and a dog? You employ the man to feed the dog and the dog to keep the man away from the machine.
Absolutely.
That might make a good feature in the magazine, actually, Karl.
I'm thinking about writing it myself.
It gets some good pictures on that. I'll tell you what, David, it's been fantastic to have you on this podcast
My pleasure.
today. I've just got, before we wrap up, to talk about a few things that's happening in the coming days and weeks. Next week, you'll see the team at DMG Mori, where we're doing some stock machine reviews. We're also talking with Grob next week. We're doing some stock machine reviews with Grob. We're also going to be talking at ETG, or visiting ETG, where we're going to be looking at an NTRX 300 live event, which is coming soon. We're at Wilco Manufacturing, we're at MacFab, we're at JKN Tools. Karl, where are you next week? On the horse?
I'm at the printers.
Are you at the printers? Yeah.
And eagerly awaiting Wednesday next week. 100-page bumper September issue will be mailed out. So, all depending on Royal Mail, we should see that Friday at the earliest. And I'm looking forward to physically seeing the magazine.
Okay, and if you want to get a copy of that and you don't already, you can register your details on the MTDCNC website. It's mtdcnc.com/magazine, I believe. Events that are up and coming. We've got EMO just around the corner. We've got a Herco Open House, which is in October. We've got the FANUC event, which we're going to be attending and live streaming from in November. That's November the 1st to the 5th. All about automation. Is going to be discussed there. We've got the Citizen Open House, as mentioned, as well in October. And we're also at Subcon, which I think is the 14th, 15th and 16th of September. Are you going to Subcon? Will you be going to Subcon? You'll be too busy.
I personally won't be. No, my job's to make sure that these machines go out the door
well,
on
your name
time.
is above the door, isn't it?
My name is above the door.
Yeah.
The quality of these machines is fairly and squarely on my shoulders.
Yeah. So you won't be at Subcon then, but
I
we
won't.
will, and we'll be streaming live from the Hoffman stand, where they've got a terrific offering to engineers, which is a new incentive to companies to guarantee them performance from, or to guarantee them savings on their investment in not only tooling but in everything that surrounds their business and their machine shop. That's it for today, guys. David, thank you very much for hosting us here today.
My pleasure.
There is going to also be plenty of videos coming to the MTDCNC website that we've filmed here, where we've looked in detail at some of the technologies that they offer. There's also a good corporate video that's coming out from here, and we'll be back here again in the coming weeks. If you want the MTDCNC team to visit your place to shoot our on-the-road podcast, then just contact us at inquiries@mtdcnc.com. And don't forget, as Karl said, look forward to seeing the magazine next week. And for any of the videos I've mentioned, you can see them on the website. Thanks very much, guys.
Thanks for listening to the MTD podcast. If you found value in this episode, please subscribe and leave a rating and review. Find more episodes on mtdcnc.com.